Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Yankee Stadium, and thank you for joining us for today's head coach's press conference for the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. The game, featuring the University of Minnesota from the Big Ten and Syracuse University from the ACC, kicks off tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern and will be televised by ESPN and broadcast nationally by ESPN Radio. On our dais today, we have Minnesota head coach PJ Fleck and Syracuse head coach Dino Babers. Thank you for taking some time out of your schedules for us today. Before we take questions from the media in attendance, it would be great to start off with some opening remarks from the head coaches about your bowl week experiences to this point. PJ, can we start with you?
Sure can. Yeah. First of all, just want to thank all the New York Yankees organization. Want to thank Randy Levine for his hospitality, Mark Holtzman, and Bad Boy Mowers, Pinstripe Bowl, everybody associated with it. Want to thank the Steinbrenner family. Not only that, just want to give a special thanks to John Mosley and his entire staff. Can't thank you enough for just an elite experience. You know, there's no city like New York City, and especially around the holidays. And our team got here on Christmas Day and got a chance to go down to Rockefeller Center, go to Radio City Music Hall, see the Rockettes. And I even asked them, I said, guys, how long did you stay? You know, how long do 18 to 22-year-olds stay for that? They're like, we stayed the whole time. They had a great time. And from the New York Rangers game to the hospitality they've had to seeing the 9/11 memorial, I mean, all the things that make New York really special. And, you know, they had one day where they were done after practice and they got the whole day just to spend wherever they wanted to spend it and just kind of roam around New York City. So I think some of you saw that with Mariano Sori-Marin and his meals and getting to travel around the whole city and taste all types of food. But it truly is a unique experience, and it's first class in everything that the bowl represents and did for us. Everything was first class, which you wouldn't expect anything less from the Yankees. But we're incredibly grateful to be here, very humbled. Got an incredible opponent to play tomorrow in Syracuse, coached by Dino Babers. And, you know, Dino and I have known each other for a long time. And it's just been a really exciting week and one to really have that moment memory the rest of their life. And I even said to somebody on the field, I'm like, I don't even know if our players truly understand. They're having a picnic on Yankee Stadium. You know, they're out there just eating their sandwiches and just throwing the baseball around and really just kind of relaxing. But I don't know if they truly understand where they're actually at right now because there's a football game to be played. But can't thank everybody enough. The hospitality has been over the top, first class, and one of the most unique bowl experiences you could ever have. And this is something we'll take with us the rest of our life. And, you know, Heather and I even got a chance to go down to Broadway and see the Music Man with Hugh Jackman. That was awesome. So I haven't tell Heather, hey, eyes on me. I tell you what, he's a tremendous performer. I've seen the Music Man a ton of times, but to watch him do it, it was really special. So thank you to everybody. I know I just kind of rambled on, but it really is an amazing experience, unlike any bowl experience I've ever been a part of. So thank you to everybody involved.
Thank you, PJ. Dino?
Once again, PJ said it all, but thank you to the Yankee organization, Mr. Levine, Mark, John, all their people have been outstanding. Once again, just to be in a historic place like this, to play a football game in Yankee Stadium, it means a lot. The players, we got an opportunity to experience all the things that Coach Fleck talked about, and he's exactly right. The Rockettes, they stayed there all the way to the end, and they were amazed about their flexibility, and they promised me that our guys would work on theirs to be as flexible as some of those dancers were. The experience with the 9/11, you know, we had last year, A.J. Cabral, was on our football team, and his dad went down as one of the firefighters in 9/11. So that meant a lot to us to get an opportunity to go and spend time there and to talk about that, something that we've been experiencing as a team while he was with us, the 4 years he was with us previous to that. And then just being in New York City. A lot of things, but having the guys go down in the elevator and count how many different languages that were being spoken in the elevators when they went from their floor down to the bottom floor just to go to work. And once again, it just reminds you that you're in a place that's extremely unique. There's some unique places around the world, and there's no doubt that New York and New York City is definitely one of them.
Dino, thank you very much. As a reminder to media, we have wireless mics on either side of the room. Please wait to ask your question until you have a mic in hand, and please introduce yourself with your name and affiliation. We can take a first question now. We'll start over here on the left.
Andy Greeter with the St. Paul Pioneer Press. PJ, you mentioned Derek Jeter's documentary is something that you guys watched. What sort of takeaways or lessons did you try to impart on the team based on the captain?
Well, I think it's just, when I always say that, I'm not for everybody. I think Derek Jeter wasn't for everybody, but he ended up becoming one of the greatest Yankees because he stood for the Yankee way. He did it their way and was a great leader in representing the organization in a first-class fashion. But not only that, I think one of the episodes we watch, it's when he kind of flicks the ball to the catcher and they get him out. And it seems like a very routine play, but we kind of dived into that play and dove into that play a lot more about that's an easy routine play. But it's years and years and years and years of work. When the pressure of the moment creates itself, can you make that play with that instinct? Know that you're going to be exactly where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there, and then you get a chance to make that play, and it goes down one of the best plays in Major League history. So I think that was a piece of it. And then I thought that was really good to be able to see, Derek's, upbringing. He's from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Heather's from Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is great. Derek actually gave a scholarship away when I was at Western Michigan University to one of our punters who was a baseball player. That was his favorite player. You know how we like to do our scholarship presentation. So Derek and his wife gave a scholarship to Derek Mitchell in our office, and that was one of the coolest 30 minutes of my entire life because I got a chance to spend time with him and pick his brain. But the upbringing part was really critical for us because we all come from different walks of life. We all face different challenges. A lot of our players have heard a lot of the same things Derek did growing up. And watching him overcome some of the obstacles in his life, not only just baseball but off the field, and watch the work ethic. And watching his rookie season not be what it was maybe dreamed of being, and then everybody started doubting him, and then he kept grinding, kept rowing the boat, and they needed to see that it wasn't just perfect. This wasn't some freak that just every time the bat hit the ball it went out of the park. He had to work at every aspect of his game and become really good at it and a master at it. And I think that's what we really took away from the captain was all of that, from his upbringing to obviously where he ended his career and the type of legacy he left with the Yankees. So it was really important for us.
We'll take the next question on the right side of the room.
Pierre Nugent, Fox 9, PJ.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me. Is Tanner?
You're welcome.
Thanks. Is Tanner, if he has been deemed healthy to play, has he been deemed healthy to play? And if he has been deemed healthy to play, do you expect him to start tomorrow?
Yeah, Tanner has the ability to play. He's been cleared to play, and I'm not going to tell you if he is going to play or not yet, but he has the ability to play, and he has been cleared. He's passed all medical protocol, and but we'll see how the game unfolds.
Take the next question on the right as well.
Randy Johnson, Minneapolis Star Tribune. PJ, this will be your 7th bowl game. How has your approach and your preparation for the games over the years changed or developed?
Well, you have a system. I think probably Dino has a system too. You have philosophy of how you go in bowl games, and for us, week 1 we give the varsity the week off in terms of practicing, and then we basically just practice all the young guys, and then the second week we kind of incorporate everybody with a heavy dose of Minnesota versus Minnesota, get back to more of a spring ball format, and then you get to the 3rd and 4th week. The 3rd week's really game planning your opponent, and then the 4th week for us is having the ability to go do it at the bull site. But usually everything's done game plan wise before we even get here, which we take a lot of pride in because I want this to be an experience for everybody. And I think that's one thing you truly learn, not just on the field preparation, it's off the field preparation. These are moments and memories for coaches as well. I've been a part of staffs. We've gone to bowl games, and I've never seen outside. We've been to bowl games before where I never made the bowl trip. It was so close that we just stayed where we were at in our facility. So any chance that we get as an experience for our families and our coaches and the kids on our team, not just our players, but the little kids of the staff, I want them to enjoy it as much as they possibly can. And it's up to the head coach, in my opinion, to proactively do that. And people have their own philosophies on that. That's one of mine. We practice, watch the film, and then you're clear because everything's pretty much done. Scripts are done, cards are done, and you have 4 weeks to prepare. So, you're pretty proactive about it. But I think the biggest thing for me is staying to that routine. But then the dates change, and then you kind of based off experience from the past.
We'll stay on the right side.
Emily Liker, Syracuse.com. Dino, how have you seen Nick Monroe grow as a coach in this period when he's serving as interim DC and also now that he's working alongside Rocky a little bit?
I think anytime that you get moved up in responsibility from an assistant coach to a coordinator position, whether it's permanent or temporary, you get to see the how that experience is going to affect somebody, and what really jumps out is the responsibility. everybody wants to be the lead writer until you're the lead writer, and then they understand the responsibility of being the person that's got to go out there and hit home runs and bat in the fourth position to make sure you get those runs around the bases. And it's actually fun to see people stress a little bit about some things that will come natural to them eventually. But until then, they need to be able to work through some things. No different than Nick Monroe doing it on the defensive side, but Jason Beck doing it on the offensive side. And, you could help a lot, or you can help a little and let them try to figure some things out on their own. But it's everybody's got to have their first opportunity, and then you either get better or worse from there. So it's been fun times watching them, and I'm sure they're excited about their times.
We'll go to the left now.
Hey, Samantha Crossan, CNY Central. Thank you guys both for taking time out of your day to do this with us. This is a question for Coach Babers. With some of the players on this team opting out or transferring, I want to know what this game means for some of the newer or less experienced faces that we might see out on the field.
I think it's a beginning. We walked around practice, and based off of I made a little account of the guys that were actually at practice but not playing based off of injury. And on the guys on the sidelines, that was a heck of a team. That was a heck of a football team. But the guys that are out on the football field, it's their first opportunities for a lot of those guys to shine. And it's the end of 2022, but it's also the beginning of 2023, even though we're not there yet. And I'm excited to see what some of the young people are going to do. They're going to make some mistakes. But if they make them full speed, and as the game goes on, if they progress and get better, then that's going to be exciting for our future. And I can't wait to see how some of those young people do.
We'll take the next one back right.
Good afternoon. Al Sanasiri from the New York Yankees. Nice to see you both. You guys both talked about the excitement this week and the great experiences that you've shared with your players and with your families. Can you just shed some light on the atmosphere? And this question's for both of you. When your players first found out that they would be coming to New York City for this bowl game, and some of the reactions that they had.
We were excited. They were really excited because I think some of our players' bowl experiences are about where you haven't been. I think that's what's really critical. 95% of our team has never been to New York City. So they had no idea. They were really excited about it. And as a coach, you're always going to present it the way you want it to be taken too, right? And bowl experiences are a reward for all their work. It's a celebration of the seniors. It's something that everybody should be able to share and have a fun time doing. But when they heard New York City, and then, when John came to visit us and told them all the things they're going to do, it just kept going up. Every time you thought like it couldn't get more excited, something else was presented, they got even more excited. Then they start doing their own homework and what they are interested in. And the great thing about New York City has everything. So it's something for everybody. And I think that's what makes this very unique. Is that you get truly experienced the New York City culture, and our guys are fired up about it. They're excited to play a football game, and because that's what we're here to do. But they were really excited for all the weekly activities and get a chance to be able to go do what they want to do too.
Our guys are excited because we're going to a bowl, and it's something that you should be excited for. I've grown up in the bowl era of bowls, and I think that the bowl system is something that has always been good to college football. And I understand we have the playoff system, and that's another story down the line. And eventually we'll get an opportunity to play in that as well. But to have an opportunity to play in a bowl game, to celebrate a successful season that you had, and then have an opportunity to do it with a first class operation like the New York Yankees. I mean, we knew everything was going to be first class. And when they came down and talked about the bowl, we were already excited, but we were even more excited when we knew we were going to deal with them. We have a lot of international players. We have players from Germany. We have players from Canada. And this bowl game being so close allows a lot of their families to come in here and watch them play, which is something they don't get a lot of opportunities to do. It's a lot cheaper. A lot more people can get here. But once again, it's New York City. You can't find it out in the middle. I love Yellowstone. I love watching that series, but Yellowstone is not New York City. Okay, they're totally different, and both of them have their own beauty. So to have an opportunity to come out here and to hang out since Christmas, and then play a fine football team like Minnesota and PJ Fleck and I do go back, and I know that team will be well prepared. We'll do our best to go out there and put our best foot forward. But this has been a fantastic experience, and I think overall we think it's really, really cool that we've been hanging out here.
We'll go back to the left.
PJ, I wanted to ask about Ethan's development. How much was on his plate game plan wise for Penn State, and how had it developed by the time Wisconsin came around?
Yeah, I mean, for Penn State, I mean, it was as much as he could handle. I think that's been the biggest question for him is what can he handle? Not giving him too much too soon, but still giving him enough to be able to go win football games, giving him enough tools in the toolbox. And I think Kirk Schrock has done a really good job of that. There's been times where he's like, we can't give that to him yet. Like he's not ready for that piece yet. Dino's defense creates a ton of challenges for us. It does. I mean, they come at you from all different angles and different ways and different fronts. And it's a lot for him. But he's done a really good job of processing it all. It's a credit to Dino and his staff because they create a lot of challenges around every corner. But it's great preparation for him, too, to be able to get that experience for 4 weeks where it's not a standard defense, not just an even front or an over front. Or an under front. It's a lot of 3 down, going to 4 down. What's 4 down instead of 3 down? What looks like 3 down, but we're going to count it as 4 down. There's a lot of different things that they do defensively. That's what's tough playing the Dino Babers defense is because if you got to do that in 4 or 5 days and you got a young quarterback, that's almost impossible. And when you get 4 weeks, you can at least process it a little bit more. And I know they're going to have a lot more wrinkles. That's what coaches do. But I think his development's got a lot better in the whole scheme of things. And I think he's handling things a lot better. He's taking more control of the offense. His presence is better, more confident. He's a pretty confident kid as it is. I mean, Penn State didn't bother him. But I think that we have been able to do a lot more with him, and he gives us the ability to do some other things as we get to the end of this year and then obviously in the next year, too, with the offense.
Go to the right side off the aisle.
PJ, what is sometimes you see players opt out of bowl games, but what is the conversation like with some of your players, particularly the ones maybe who have pro aspirations? What goes into the decision-making process and the conversations with them, and perhaps particularly with Mo, who comes off an injury, has a great season, and probably still has pro aspirations as well?
Well, you're seeing a lot of things in college football right now, right? I mean, you're not seeing just opt-outs for the National Football League. You're seeing opt-outs to not play. You're seeing opt-outs to transfer. I mean, you got people in the portal that are playing for their team still. It's unique. It's definitely a different time. I think full transparency and communication is critical. I think we talk to our players, and listen, I'm there to support them. Whatever they feel like they need to do, I'm there to support them. Now, my job as a coach is there to educate and give my opinion on both sides. Being there, doing that, playing in the NFL, coaching in the NFL, seeing it from that perspective, that knowledge is worthy, but it doesn't make that decision final. But you do add a different element. You bring their family involved in it, bring the player's voice inside of it and involved in it. And a lot of these guys already have representation somehow, some way. You bring them involved in it. You hear it from all sides, and then you support the player. Whatever the decision's made, I was told a long time ago, you cannot make a bad decision. As long as before the decision, you do all the homework necessary to make that decision. And then once you make it, there's no going back. So you're all in on that decision. That doesn't make it a bad decision because it is what it is. And that's supposed to affect the next thing that comes in. So, but I give our players a ton of credit because time gives them the ability to think over a long period of time of what they want to do. I tell them right after the season, we're not even going to talk for 2 weeks. We're not even going to talk about it. I want you to process it. I want you to come to practice. We're not going to talk about opting out, leaving, staying. We're not talking about any of that. Just that's why I give that first week off for the veterans. Just be at practice, dissect it, get your body feeling right. Because a lot of people will opt out right after the season because their body just doesn't feel right. Well, none of our bodies feel right. Your body doesn't feel right. His body doesn't feel right. Mine doesn't feel right. The players don't feel right. None of our bodies feel right at the end of a season. So, but give it a week for the body to calm down, get healthy, and then we'll talk the second week somewhere, within that. And that's been my philosophy. And I'm not saying we're perfect. I mean, we got, we've had guys in the past, opt out. We've had guys, not playing bowl games. We've had all that, just like everybody else. And that's just what college football is all about right now. That you have to have those conversations for sure. And like I said, I support our players because everybody's, treated fairly, not necessarily equally because we all come from different beliefs. So got to be pretty empathetic towards it as well.
We'll stay on the right with Randy.
Brandon Johnson, Minneapolis, start to June. PJ, over the past few weeks, have you allowed yourself time to reflect on what Muhammad has meant for this program?
I've been blessed enough to be able to do it every day. I love my job. I love coming to work. I can't even call it work, really. I mean, I love doing it, and I love the players I get to coach. Like, I'm honored to coach that kid. When you're saying that about your team, they're special. The hardest part about this is the last 36 hours I have with them, and that's really difficult. Heather was talking about that the other day. She's like, I just don't know how much I want to even see him right now. I'll see him after the game. How much do I really want to be? I'm going to cry, because they're really close to you. And, he's been the workhorse of this team for 4 or 5 years. And the best thing about Muhammad Ibrahim, he was a scout team player of the week, or scout team player of the year his freshman year. We had other guys that were better than him. And all he did was keep working, and made himself into, I think, one of the best backs in the country. I don't know if there's respectively a football player as good within 12 yards. Arguably, I'd love to make his case for it because he is so special, and he's even a better young man. I know he wants to coach one day. He's going to be a phenomenal coach, and I look forward to hiring him.
We'll go back to the left.
Dino, I wanted to ask you about the Gophers' defense. What stands out and what's key to their success?
13.3 points per game over a 12-game schedule. They don't give up a lot of points. They are one common opponent. Purdue won, but the way they went about it, with all the difficulties they had with that quarterback, who I think is outstanding, they just don't make mistakes. I was watching. I couldn't sleep this morning, PJ. So I was moving around. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm watching Wisconsin and Oklahoma State's on TV, and I'm just watching Wisconsin and how they're playing, and I'm thinking Minnesota's defense is better than Wisconsin's. I think they're ranked higher. So just that style of not giving up the big play, physical, runs to the ball, assignment-wise, they do a lot, but what they do extremely well, and they stay in it. They're consistently good, not occasional. And I can talk all day because as much as everybody thinks I'm an offense guy, but I love watching big-time defenses, and Minnesota has one.
We'll go to the far left.
Adeshina Koike, a lot of sports talk, Coach Babers. Finishing up your 7th season, you have a chance for a second bowl win at Syracuse University. And since World War II, in terms of tenure as coaches, is Ben Schwartzwalder, Dick McPherson, Paul Pasqualoni, and you're finishing your 7th year, have another successful year. I know you're living in the present, but have you had a chance to kind of take a step back and really appreciate or think about the things you appreciate the most being at Syracuse University, coaching a team that plays in a dome stadium, the weather, just the appreciation of being at Syracuse University that's had the 44 great players, and you're part of that fabric of Syracuse football and football history?
I really haven't had a time to think about it because the opponents are so good, not only in our bowl opponents but in conference. But I will tell you this because it's a fantastic question that you asked. When I had an opportunity to come and coach at Syracuse University, it was a no-brainer for me. When I grew up, I grew up in military bases. My dad was a military guy, and to him there was only one football player, and he wore 44, and he was at Syracuse, and everybody else was second, and I didn't have to say his name. And we used to play football in the street. When we played football in the street, you say, "Hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm so-and-so," and he was just like, if you didn't say this guy's name, you didn't say a name, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. And growing up with that, and then getting an opportunity to meet Jim Brown and have him come and speak to the team. And first of all, to realize how big he is, and I don't mean heavy, at his age. I mean, the shoulders on him, you're going, goodness gracious. I mean, what did he look like, back in the 50s? And then, he's played some years, so watch him come up in front of the team and then finally get on his stool. And then once he sat down and started speaking, nothing but knowledge flowing out of him and pride. And then even getting to see I can't think of the movie now, or that One Night in Miami. What's the name of that movie? Right, where they had Kareem and him and Muhammad Ali and Bill, I think, no, it was Bill Russell, not Kareem. And to have all those guys there and just to see the stuff that he was doing behind the scenes. You know, it's just, you can go on and on and on. Him sitting down and talking to the Crips and the Bloods in Los Angeles in his house. So he brought those two gangs to his house. Now, this is the way I'm a little bit different, PJ Square, but I'm a little bit different. My first thought is you brought the two biggest gangs in Los Angeles to your house. My first thing is, how many times has the guy's house been robbed? Go back and check. I got a number for you. You know what I mean? And just so much respect. And I can go on and on. Floyd Little, 44, Ernie Davis. You know, I told everyone in my first press conference, in those games where sometimes, you know, you had to pick a guy to be, I would pick Larry Zonka. And I was in one of those neighborhoods. They said, you can't pick Larry Zonka. I said, why not? Well, you know, I'm going to be Larry Zonka, okay? So you guys can be whoever you want. I'm going to play like Larry Zonka. And the list just goes on and on and on. The Conrads, the Richardsons, everyone. So I'm going to stop, because it's one of those things that I could go a long time on. Everybody else has questions. But if you want to talk about it afterwards, the tradition, unmatched.
We'll go to the right side, Emily.
Dino, I think one of those younger guys that people are expecting to see a lot of tomorrow is LaQuint Allen Jr. at running back. I'm curious what you've seen out of him in these weeks leading up to the bowl, especially after Sean Tucker's opt-out, and maybe where his head's at right now.
LaQuint works as hard as anybody does, anybody I've ever seen in practice. There's another freshman, I'm not going to mention him, but LaQuint on offense, the other guy on defense, I've never seen freshmen come in and make such an impact. The last person that he reminds me of is Chris Elmore, as far as the impact that he makes at practice. And even though he's young, he doesn't play that way. So I'm excited that he's going to finally get his opportunity. I'm not excited that Sean's not playing, but I'm excited that LaQuint's going to get his opportunity. But I don't think people are going to be disappointed at all. And, you know, he's going to get bigger and stronger, and he's going to do exciting things here at Syracuse. There's no doubt in my mind. You're talking about a very, very unselfish guy that plays a bunch of special teams as well. But he reminds me of an old school player that I'm constantly having him Google and look through the archives. Not as old as Jim Brown, but if he ever tells you, I won't tell you, but if he ever tells you, it'll be a good right. But every time I see him on the football field, that's who he reminds me of.
We'll go back to the left for the final question of the day.
Hey, Coach Babers, I want to know how you think that Garrett Schrader has been playing over the past few weeks and what you would hope to see out of him in Thursday's performance.
I think, first of all, you know, I think that his play against Boston College, I thought he played a really, really good game, and I thought he was exceptional in the fourth quarter. But it's been fun to see, as the weeks go, to see him get healthier and healthier and healthier. What you're going to see is a healthy Garrett Schrader, which is what we always want to see. And he's a big guy. He's bigger than what people think. When you walk up on him, you go.
I told him today, I said, you're bigger than I thought. And I thought you were big. I said, you're bigger than I thought.
You're bigger than what you
I went back right to Coach Rossi. I said, he's bigger than we think.
He doesn't. You don't realize how big he is. And as a coach, I'm like, hey, man, back in the day, if I would hit you, do, none of this targeting stuff. Want me to be going at you. But again, once again, when you're around him all the time, he's a big target coming at you. He's not a little pony. He's a thoroughbred. He's a big, big cat. And when he's healthy, you know, he's hard to bring down, especially when he's determined to go somewhere. But I think the throwing part of it with Jason Beck and the job that Coach and I did before we left, I just think the guy's improving every day as a passer. And I think that's the key to everything. But the thing that he gives us most is his leadership. I mean, he leads, and we follow.
Coach Fleck, Coach Babers, thank you very much for your time. Again, we're looking forward to seeing your two schools battle tomorrow, 2 p.m. On ESPN, ESPN Radio as well, and here at Yankee Stadium. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us in the audience.
See you, PJ.
See ya.
All right, babe. All right, babe.